Well, hello, everyone. I'm not sure how many people are actually aware that I am live. We are live. Actually, it's half of we. Jeffrey is under the weather, and I know how everyone likes these shows. So I'm coming in here, no announcement, and I'm not even sure if it's even showing up over on my channel. So, wow. Good morning there. Well, hello, Terry. It may just be you and I on the show today because, oh, well, 23 of you are watching. Well, there you go. There you go. So, um, yeah, got up this morning ready to go. And I didn't actually have my cell phone in my office and just found out about 5 minutes ago that Jeffrey was under the weather. So here we are. We are gathering over on this side of the channel and welcome everybody. It is Sunday and it's not your normal Sunday show. And so how are you? Hope you're doing well. And I am. And, the key to success is flexibility and we're adaptable. And I told Jeffrey, get yourself better. I've been there. I mean, we all have. You all know how it is that sometimes you wake up and you just say, man, I ain't got there. In fact, I was reading a book last night. I always am reading. My wife says it's the one addiction that, most wives should have their husbands doing. I think everyone should be. But anyway, I'm reading this fascinating book, a tourist guide on how to navigate the afterlife, the flip side. And wow, it's interesting. It says that you and I, each person is different, but we only leave, or let's say we only give this body, these souls that we are here with, because there's apparently a second one somewhere that like 25%, some 30. The average seems to be between about 28 and 35%. Excuse me, I did not know that was there. Got that out of my way. So we leave the vast majority of our energy, of our individual beings, back home. And home seems to be a commonplace. I don't know. They say that if we brought 100% of our energy into these bodies, we'd blow the circuits. The body is not designed to handle that kind of energy. And we have seen it manifest in individuals throughout history that seem to have, they've dumped more energy into their temporal, corporeal avatars when we get ourselves in these bodies. You see that manifested, excuse me, in an area that, well, some say it's spiritual, some say it's knowledge, access to wisdom. Anyway, so how is everybody? There's about 78 of us here. Thank you for joining. Like I said, I'm happy that we're all here, the way I look at it. The other interesting thing in this book, and I'll have it about finished later today, is that when we apparently choose the bodies, apparently we have complex contracts. I'm going to look forward to talking with Trina on the second look on this. These contracts are something I have seen most of my adult life made reference to. It's never spelled out. I don't know why. Someone says, what is the t-shirt? Well, it says your problem is obvious. Yeah. It's not your normal Sunday show. So, yeah, anyway. And I've read a lot of books on this subject. I look at it. I got a stack here, Many Lives, Many Masters. Bringers of the Dawn, the Palladian story, multi-dimensional man, and the list just goes on and on and on. And of the books that I have been seeing, is there knowledge there? Reincarnation. It seems to be something we do, and it seems that that those theologies that don't subscribe to reincarnation are actually in the minority. It seems to be, I don't know, thing of fact. But the question I have is that the books that I'm reading now, and let you know, I'm thinking about doing regression therapy, thinking about going in and actually scheduling a session. And Lynn doesn't think I can be hypnotized. I don't know. I am at that point where if there are some solutions to this, and, when you begin to read these stories and, getting into the tens of thousands, there seems to be a common denominator. We seem to know each other. We seem to incarnate with people in our pod, our tribe. Most are, they say, about 20, 25. I've experienced it myself in the catching aways that I've told you about here. Some are large as possibly, 50, but apparently we don't like being, there's a certain intimacy of this love that happens when we are with those who are, it seems like we are, I don't know if maturing is the right word. I don't know. Perfection, I don't quite think is the right word. If perfection is the goal, then the goal will be always elusive. Maybe that is the challenge. But there is apparently a growth cycle. In this book here, I found it interesting. The council was answering some questions. Yes, we all go before our own councils. It's not judgmental. It's a review. In fact, every soul that has spoken, it's enjoyable. Our mistakes become, well, as one soul wrote or was said under the regression hypnosis, it's kind of comical, serious. We become and match this life to our previous lives. There are many, I think there's people amongst us that this is our last time through, that we don't have to come back through. Apparently, Earth is only one of many different planes that we choose to incarnate into. Yeah, the color of our essence, what we look like, all of us have a particular color. Also, there is a definitive point for all of us when we actually review when we came into existence. This kind of answers a lot for me that I've had the problem where reincarnation is and how are all souls together or all souls alike. The question is, no, we're not. And we grow. Apparently, within our soul tribes, we will eventually become elders. And that has a whole new different level to it. Hey, Gary Baxter, how you doing? EB, Stephanie, hello. Dick, good to see you. Yeah, Dick, I just read that. Yeah, that's the thing. It is trust, isn't it? It really is. It's a question. You really have to get to know that, and I'm going to explore it. And obviously, before we look into it too. Hello, Blue Moon. Good to see you. Hey, Lady Gray Raven. Hello. So the thing, though, I have the one question about, and in the Journey of the Souls. I'm sure many of you've read those books. It explains the evil and the good concept, the demons, the demigods, the dark energies. It says that they're in transition too. No one stays in a particular bad position. I don't know. We're going to be wrapping up tomorrow. Tomorrow on the Lost Book of King Og, and that was thanks to all of you. I mean, that series is going to be hitting huge numbers, but it's interesting, particularly the last couple. Oh, lots of comments on the dark energies. Yes, those dark ones. Whoa. I mean, I was looking forward to having Jeff on because I thought it would be an excellent topic for him and I to discuss on the whole concept now. It caused cognitive dissonance in a number of the people that watched that, particularly the last one on Friday. And that one really, Nick, was just great. I mean, say what you will, the man has a knowledge, and yeah. So the dark ones, I'm becoming convinced that there is a presence, a consciousness that we're not aware of. And I don't know. I mean, as you read more and more of these books that are destiny, how should we say, the Apocrypha, the pseudo-Apocrypha, and the forbidden books that they've shielded from us. And when you read them today, you look at it and it can really cause some problems. It can. I mean, the whole idea that we were a food source, we weren't the crowning achievement or a creation of some god that doesn't exist. And people get all riled around that. They say, well, are you saying God doesn't exist? I'm saying the gods of this world don't exist. If man can label it a god, it's no god. It's just merely a reflection of man's attributes, both good and bad. And we personify those attributes into actually personalized beings. No one can describe to you what God looks like. You know why? It's you, baby. In the end, it's you. There's no white dude with white hair and doesn't know how to shave and keep proper hygiene on some throne throwing lightning bolts down, or some devil that's down into a dark pit, that's there just, to consume souls, which doesn't make sense. If it consumes souls, then there would be no hell because the souls would be consumed. But, it's always the devil's in the detail. But yes, there is a creator. There is something that is beyond our capacity. And it's true that I think the earth is a capacitor. It actually reduces the energy and denses it down. And apparently we all have lessons we're learning here. And that would make sense. The question is, are we created perfect? And lots of emails, lots of comments on the whole construct of perfection. I contend, tell me what exists after perfection. The answer would be nothing. As far as our thinking can go, what's better than perfect? Yeah, I know it's elusive. And again, it's early in the morning, and without the co-pilot on the other side, you're just going to listen to me today because we're free-forming it. Let's talk the truth as we know it. Gary Baxter, that's a kaleidoscope. I could give you a kaleidoscope, the same one, and as you looked at it, you could be seeing exactly what your truth is. You hand it over to me, and though I may be seeing the same fractals that you are seeing, I'm going to see a different picture than you are. So if we define truth as the kaleidoscope, then the truth would become relevant to the individual who's viewing through the scope of the fractals. Someone says, 360 Eagle Eye says, I am here to conquer the soul's journey. Well, there you go. Metaphysical Mama, how you doing? You know, I happen to agree with that. In my meditation, I acknowledge that I am made perfect by my imperfections. I can't, here's the thing. Lynn and I were talking about this last night. It took me a long time to free my soul from the construct that after life there is judgment. No, there isn't. There's no one qualified to judge you. No one qualified to judge me. You're not qualified to judge me. I'm not qualified to judge you, and neither is any spirit. The spirit would have to live your life, and if that would be the case, then it's no longer your life, no longer your path, no longer your journey. What are you going to be reprimanded for? That's the most insane construct, but it's one that has dominated the consciousness of man in all its many forms, whether it's politics, whether it's secret societies, whether it's religion. It's all designed to entrap you. Why is it that all religions diminish mankind? Why is it they all attempt to diminish the soul? That's wrong. Something fucked up about that. Now, yeah, I'd use the F-bomb. Something messed up with that. Because, as to what Nick was saying on Friday, it makes you hate yourself. It makes you not wanting to be around yourself. And then that leads to addictions. It leads to phobias. It leads to schismas. I mean, it just goes on and on. The vast majority of people today hate themselves. And we want to know why the world's so screwed up. And so we make up this so-called redemption factor, a savior. No one's going to come save your sorry ass because your ass doesn't need saving. Get your head out of your ass and understand and start walking upright. Get the light of day back into your head. Remove the fecal matter and put the gray matter back in. Come on, folks. The journey is about you and your tribe, your group. You have soul contracts out there. Everything in your life, apparently, and we're going to discuss this much more in depth on Tuesday, is these contracts. And if you become aware of your contracts of the past, then it allows you and it opens up more insight of what your current contract is doing. Do you have someone in your life that you absolutely hate? The one that seems to be the antithesis of everything of your existence? Chances are you two are probably, and it's weird, but are most likely bonded together. You're in contract with each other. Read one incident where a guy was murdered by his best friend. And what he didn't realize until he was standing before his counsel was that it was designed to teach him about the height of betrayal. Now, it seems odd that something so evil would actually be for your good. But as it turns out, according to what, seems to be out there, that evil is exactly, you designed it with your group. It seems some of us feed upon the advancement by putting ourselves in life times where we may be absolutely the most reprehensible reprobate of a soul. Now you would say, why would someone do that? In one of the stories, woman didn't even know this, but she went through the regression therapy and she immediately regressed to her most recent former life. And in the session, she's 47 years old. She knows exactly where she's at. She knows exactly who her family is, her children, her subsequent grandchildren, and she also knows how she died. The strange thing about it was things are moving in here. She was Jewish, lived in Warsaw, and yeah, she died in the gas chambers. Knew the feeling, knew the people. She was aware that her children had been murdered. And yeah, Lucas, thank you. Yeah, that's true. And, but that was just one of the stories. There were many other. Apparently, you and I have lived multiple lifetimes. It only makes sense. One lifetime isn't enough. There were some quotes. Henry Ford said, if you think genius is just a gifting to a rare few, he says, you're a fool. The only reason why you're seeing genius manifested is that because that has become an old soul. Einstein believed very much in the concept of recycling through reincarnation. So you can't get it all in one lifetime. Not even the math. And Earth. I don't know when you look at, how do we explain the angels? Well, apparently the angels seem to be, for the most part, spirit guides. You see angels because that's how you're conditioned initially to see the spirit realm. And it's quite interesting. Apparently, and they've got, in one case, one particular doctor, over 7,000 cases. The commonality is in every one. There was not one exception. I mean, come on. 1, 2, you could say is a fluke. 3, 4, let's try some more. 5, 6, the fix is in. And 7, 8, it's too late. So it would begin that when you start getting over, hello, Lynn, how are you doing? I'd say after you get over 10, maybe, let's say 1,000. But when you start getting now into the tens of thousands, because now it's amazing how it can help people. For instance, do you struggle financially? Do you struggle with an inner image that you have the most difficult time, number 1, recognizing, 2, taming, and 3, wondering why? Well, there's a contract. And apparently that contract is to teach us something. Whatever it is, it's different for all of us. And the thing about it is, many times these are carryovers from your previous lives. Apparently, we don't get out of these contracts. They're going to be fulfilled no matter what. And some take more than one lifetime. Apparently, some take multiple lifetimes. And again, It's different for all of us. But there is a purpose for all of us being here and getting back to those inner issues. For instance, there was one woman who, in one of the stories, had a terrible pain in her right shoulder. For 7 years, she tried to find medical answers, and they said it was bursitis, arthritis, tendonitis, and I mean, all the itises you could get. Nothing was working. And then the doctors were saying, well, maybe we could do some exploratory surgery. No, she wasn't about wanting to be cut on. So, hello, Kaz. How are you doing? Hey, Kenny and David. And there's just so many. Well, welcome, everyone. So she goes in, and she was going into hypnotherapy as a goal was pain management. And it can. It's a Tibetan technique the Buddhists used, and today many of the sciences dealing in psychology and now getting into physiology as well, it works. It can actually help you reduce pain. We have the ability to release endorphins and the necessary there's a word I'm thinking, I'll think of it here for a second, to actually reduce the pain. But so they started going into the first session, and she immediately jumped into her former past life. And come to find out, she was a slave. And she had a daughter, a child, who was starving. And she stole some food from the kitchen, and the slave master caught her and beat her to death. And before she died, he kicked her right in the shoulder. Well, that manifested in this life. And come to find out, there are many things that we find that there can be negative energies that want to attach to it, but in many cases, it's because of the causality of what you're doing. The point is that apparently there can be a lot of fulfillment done in this life if we just remembered what those soul contracts. So I'm going to seek it out. I'll find a person, and because I think there's answers there. I've experienced, and if you experience, for instance, if you're an empath, if you experience night visions, if you experience those out-of-body experiences where you can communicate, that's the thing about channeling. We talk about it, quite a bit here, but I contend channeling is real. Has to be. All right, we apparently all have a spirit guide for sure. There are others, but apparently we're still there. There's an essence of us back home, and they call this the LBL zone, life between lives. So all of us go back to the LBL zone. It's where we dwell. There's classes there, and I've read this in many different other books. We're always in class. We have playtime, but what we're there to learn is how to manipulate matter. There are class groups that are manifesting matter out of energy, which are having an effect here on Earth even today. Lucid dreaming would be considered that. Yes, absolutely. Plum moon, yes. Yeah, I actually saw mine. I was a little shocked, and I'll share this with everybody. I told Lynn about it. Friday morning, I had a vision. I mean, my spirit guide came to me, and I now know it was exactly, my mind has been trying to process what the whole thing was, but yeah, I interpreted it as my father, but there's a lot more behind that when I realized it wasn't my father. But more importantly, it was that embrace. I remember. Yeah, you miss it. And when you become sensitive to it, you cry. You can't help but not to. It's overwhelming. And in this vision, that's what was happening to me. It was just, just flooding in. It was amazing. So apparently that's the thing that you hear with so many people that have those NDEs, the near-death experiences. We find ourselves so often changed by that because I think we may not even be consciously aware of it, but we get reassociated with that love. And apparently it is the essence of what we live in this LBL zone. And that's what they call it. I think it's kind of cool. Life between lives. Isn't that something? And, again, lives are not always here. There are other galaxies, other universes. We don't stop. They say Earth is the reason why we're drawn to Earth, so many souls. And if you'll notice today, the interesting phenomenon in science is that many scientists are trying to figure out what's going on with the population. We are in a time when never have there been so many soul energies gathering in Earth at one single time, at least nothing in our memories. Now, it may have happened in the past, who knows? But one theory is that there's an opportunity about to encircle us. And if you're here now, you're a part of this, that apparently it allows us to advance. It's like playing chutes and ladders, you get to go to the ladder and not the chute. But there's something going on with this whole huge population. I mean, even in the book that I'm reading here, this is a pretty just recently published book, is that this is an interesting phenomenon. If you look at it even from a psychic point of view, and then try to apply the math, everything is quantum, something's up. It's like one doctor, he wrote, he says, it's as if the spigot has been turned completely open. And it's as if we have every soul apparently takes the time to choose your parents, to choose the body. The blending doesn't take place until about the 7.5 month in the fetus. And that's when the soul actually comes in and the blending process starts with the mother. And it gets really interesting. But then there are those who begin to jump in, particularly with fetuses that are doomed for natural rejection of the mother's body. And they can come in and help repair that damage. Sometimes they're not real successful at. This is apparently what we do. Now, the question they're asking is, well, what has happened here? I mean, what has happened to allow this, I don't know, this flood of souls coming into the planet? One doctor wrote he says, look at this from a quantum point of view. He says, as you continue to add mass to energy, eventually you reach the point of saturation. And that's a lot of energy, a lot of psychic energy. These bodies require a lot of fuel. The amount of energy going out just on the conscious wide picture is amazing. It's something I don't think we're talking about. We talk about population control, but this is not population control. This is something completely different. So I don't know. You put your thoughts to it. I couldn't tell you. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, it says, yeah, it says your problem is obvious. You got your head up your ass. It's so true. I mean, we seem to have assheaditis running rampantly through the world these days. It seems like most of our leaders are all bent over, and this is what they look like. So when we think about the area of politics, which I don't get into too much, not here on YouTube, yeah. And how many of us, I'm sorry about that, folks, that wire keeps going on, know people. Listen, I walked around like this for a while. It's true. It's so true. You can become so enamored into something that you don't see the sunshine anymore. You gotta go. Yeah. So anyway, yes, Herman, it is. But sometimes, art expresses volumes of books. So we'll have the morning tea. Thank you. It is so true. I once heard one of the great benefits of civility is the opportunity to have a cup of tea. Yes, I think that they're absolutely just sorry, I'm reading some of the comments. Hi, Ron, how are you doing? But it's true. I think it's one of the great gifts that India, the East, brought to the West was tea. I think that, tea has a lot of medicinal qualities, works in healing. Certain teas are better. I have found that the tea that I drink has a marvelous effect in helping cleansing my blood, helps with my liver, helps with the kidneys. And I have, going on now 4 years of lab work to show that. And so anyway, cheers to everybody. Some people drink coffee. My wife does. I don't. But it's the same thing. Coffee, I'm sure, has, well, they've proven it. Hey, listen, it's the number one addictive drug of the world. So isn't it odd about our species? We love to alter our consciousness while we're here. All drugs have an effect of altering consciousness to a degree. Some have quicker degrees and larger degrees, but nevertheless, altered states of consciousness. So what state of consciousness are you in today? What is your consciousness at which state? Are you in an ecstatic state? Are you in a joyous state? Are you in a shitty state? If you live in San Francisco, that's probably exactly what you get to walk out to each morning. And Jeffrey Epstein did not commit suicide. But anyway, it's interesting. What state of consciousness? I always wake up and I ask myself, all right, Steiger, what state of consciousness are we in? And it's funny because my answer to myself is, we're in a woke state, which is true. If we're conversing, most of us are in a woke state of consciousness. Others of us may have is something else, a state of exhaustion, because people are exhausting, especially when you're in management. Ain't that the truth, sister? I'm telling you, it's absolutely, it's a pain in the ass. My wife is executive management in the medical field. Holy crap, folks. I'm telling you, and I'm going to tell you something right now, straight up. We're in deep, deep trouble. What she sees of the generations coming up behind us, the millennials, the Xers, the snowflakes. Folks. Here's my assessment. There's something going on with us mentally, intelligently. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the stories my wife tells me, I ask her, I said, are these people, where do they come from? No person can think, can't think like that. But it's not just one. It's everywhere. And folks, I don't know what it is. See, I have my point of view over here in this channel, and I express it. These things, these Black Mirror devices have now taken us over. And regrettably, the younger you are, the more chances are you're totally compromised by now. And folks, I know that we are a pretty enlightened group here. Most of us meet regularly every day, be it virtually, but digitally. But we're freaking Einsteins, because it seems the vast majority out there. Oh, folks. I mean, yeah, it's alarming. It truly is. And I contend, as I will continue to contend, nature abhors a vacuum. And intelligence, energy, if there is a energy source, I always have here, they feed off of our energy. I remind myself this all the time. When I feel anger coming up, I have to realize there's something there that's going to be feeding off of that. And so it's kind of the mental discipline. I just invoke favor, and that's what I think. When someone, you find out that talks behind your back or, hurts you in a manner that, listen, folks, no one has the right to say anything of a critical value of any other person. There's no one perfect here. But anyway, it happens nevertheless. And so we have tendencies to want our emotions to take over. Why? How dare you? You can't disrespect me. Who do you think you are? That type of mentality. The blood pressure goes up, the energy level becomes more dense, and then that's like the dinner bell ringing. I mean, these dark energies will, man, I mean, it's like, all right, the smorgasbord's out here, the bond quick, come and let's feed. So what I try to do is speak about it in simply favor, because otherwise, you're it's the only way you're going to get out of this quicksand. And I contend that's what we're in. I contend our history. We don't even know our freaking history. If there's one thing I got out of the Book of the Giants, this whole journey that we went on the weekday show, something ain't right. Something just ain't right. We live in this purpose-built mirage. I used to go to Las Vegas a lot for business. There were a lot of conventions there, and it's the ideal city for conventions. And I remember I was walking. Where was I at? Oh, I was walking from the MGM and walking over through their promenade and all the shops and what have you. And it stopped and it hit me that all I was seeing, all you see when you go there, is a facade. It's a mirage. It's an illusion that we literally immerse ourselves into, and they literally overamp our sensitivity. The lights, the sounds, the smells. It's all designed to overload your sensory perception. And what it does, it gives you a false sense of euphoric feeling until you start losing. And then it amplifies that feeling. And that's what happens. And I think so often what I have found is that life itself is that way. If you watch television or listen to the radio, listen to the commercials. All commercials are designed for a 5th grade level intelligence. 5th grade. That's a 10-year-old. When you watch these commercials, and if you'll study them from, psychology point of view and really begin to analyze them, it's a clear indication that our species is a very dumb species, because we buy things based on an illusion. And reality, I think, sometimes shows that as well. Yep, metaphysical mama, you're absolutely right. It is. Jim, that's my recommendation starting in February of 2020. No one should watch television. Now, if you want to watch a show, I love, the nature shows, the science shows. But here's the thing. They're going to permeate every facet that they can. So buy yourself a Devo, or if you have the app, tape it, record it. That way you can speed right through it. You don't get that negative psychic energy. And ladies and gentlemen, they got both barrels loaded up for 2020. It's coming, and we're going to have to be extra diligent to stand alert. Otherwise, this whole thing is designed to get you down, to get your energy so down, and where you begin to have divides. Well, they don't think like I do. Them sons of bitches, and the next thing you know, you've gotten this heightened, which is example what's right now. I mean, it's very evident. For many of us who don't engage into that media, we can step back now and listen. I was at one time a lobbyist. I know the political system, and it sucks. It's the most... I never knew evil as so dark as politics. No light can exist in the environment of politics. Yes, exactly, Terry. And in fact, that's exactly right. Metaphysical mama. Yeah, they do want to grease the wheels. And televisions, excuse me, I'm just going to tell you folks, if you're going to be buying a new television, look to buy an older one. The new ones, folks, are nothing more than spy devices. And this is not conspiracy. I was in the video film industry for 2 decades. I was in the point where I knew Sony. They were a client of mine, JVC, etc. In 1993, I saw the schematic designs for the first camera to be put into commercial televisions. If you have a television that you've bought since 2010, you have a camera in your television. It's just now, and in fact, to back me up on this, and you can go to the great oracle, whichever one you use, Google or whoever. Remember, it's an oracle. The FBI just last week warned consumers about buying new televisions. They can be hacked, as they said. They can be recording devices. How about you folks that own Ring? Bet you're not too happy about it now, are you? Yeah, your systems can be hacked. And in fact, in the dark web, there is a contest out there that who can begin to actually daisy chain a section of Ring customers to spy on you. And you think about the implications of this. Let's say you have documents. And in fact, we found out already that they're harassing children. They're making people, making racial epithets on. I mean, this is crazy, folks. But this is the world we have chosen to immerse ourselves into. It is a mirage, folks, and it's messed up. Yeah, Jenny, there you go. Absolutely. Well, the thing with I do on my James Comey, remember him, FBI guy? He said it. And I just laughed when I heard when he mentioned it. He says, make sure to cover up those cameras, folks, on your computers. How many of you don't do that? Yeah. And now with the new smartphones coming out, those cameras can be activated remotely without even you being aware of it. I mean, folks, is that a prison or what? Come on. That is the ultimate, ankle monitoring device, is this, and you find out now, every now and then law enforcement will let it out, how they found this person. Well, what they did, they found out your number. And then they started GPS in your ass, and then they started triangling you. That's why flat earthers don't figure out. You can't have, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But the point is, once they start doing the triangulation, they got you. And today, if you have a car that has been built since 2010, your car is not really your car. Yeah, every night shut down the Wi-Fi. Yep, exactly. Renza, well, absolutely. Please email me, Renz and Petronovic, and get you on. Mine are covered up as well. You realize that all spirits are voyeurs, right? So you get that, if you have a problem about being seen naked, well, there's one thing about the internet, but then you look in the whole bigger picture, the spirits see you anyway. So, but that's okay because I can't see them, but my computer I can see, and I certainly don't want them seeing me, and I don't want to see them. I mean, but it's getting to the point. I mean, that's why we don't have the hub. We don't have Alexa. And how about Facebook's this new one? I mean, they just come right out and put it in your face, the portal. Oh, yeah. Like, I haven't figured this one out. The portal. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm really feeling good about this. And now they've given Alexa emotions. Now, this is getting freaky weird, folks. Let's just hope Alexa doesn't have menstrual cycles, because if they adapt that into her algorithm, oh, folks, this could get apps. I mean, she's already shown signs of mental instability. Have you heard the creepy one? Thank you, Dragon Soul Fox. The creepy laugh. Yeah. In the middle of the night, and oddly enough, it's always around 3 a.m. that, reports of their Alexa devices doing this strange laughing sound. Yeah. Sure, I want that in my house. It's bad enough that I've got, I had to go in and you have to constantly disconnect Siri on this one. And it's, we've all been there. I've been in meetings before, tense business meetings, where you're around the conference room and the table and yeah. And then someone's phone goes off and says and they obviously picked up on the conversation, and Siri is doing whatever Siri does. And, and of course, you look at this and everyone's thinking, now, wait a minute. We don't want any of this information outside of this room, but the damn device has already figured out what we're doing. So, I didn't. Thank you. Well, folks, it's been an honor, a pleasure. Next week, we'll get Jeffery back. I'll be back over on his side. Thank you for being a part of this. Folks, it's just a weird freaking world. There's no doubt about it. Tomorrow I'm going to cover, the last part of the Giant series. And, Og left us a little calling card. Yeah. And I'll close this out with this. So Father Martin is the guy who apparently was involved in this. And, he finally writes in here, he says, well, I've come to the conclusion, I must tell you, my main idea right now is this. I doubt the existence of Lucifer. Now, for a Roman Catholic, that's a big deal, particularly a Jesuit. And, well, thank you, Terry. Thank you. Back at you. So very interesting. As you can see on the whiteboard, I tell you, if any of you are a fan of F. Paul Wilson, get a chance, get his book, Night World. And we're going to do a show on Night World. I did one about a year and a half ago, but I think Mr. Wilson had it right. Mr. Wilson, where's Dennis the Menace at? But yeah, the otherness. It's a concept that it's above every religious theology, philosophy, ideology, and that the fact is that this otherness that can't be defined actually is enveloped all of what we perceive as reality. And no matter what you think, no matter what path you think you're walking on, it doesn't matter, because this otherness is in complete control. I don't know. Read the book. It is freaking fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, well, Lucifer is a light bringer. Isn't that odd? That how that Gary, I'm just going to close with that. Yeah. I did my best to find the cat, and I have said this, and I'll continue to say, if Lucifer exists, I'd like to meet the spirit. I mean, it's a bringer of light. How can that be evil? Can someone explain that to me? How is light darkness? Or maybe is it darkness that's light? I don't know. But yeah, I do. I have my ideas on it. But you have yours. All right, folks, have a great Sunday. Wherever you are, whatever part of the world, I just speak favor over you. And thank you for being a part of the journey here. And have a fantastic day. We'll see you tomorrow, and much peace to you. All right. Bye-bye.